What is up? Welcome to the pod. So today we are going to be chatting about how to determine the best time to lose fat for you as an individual. Because there are times when you are going to be more likely to succeed and times when you are going to be less likely to succeed. I also wanted to put this pod together right now because the holiday season is in full swing. You may be toying with the idea of a fitness-related New Year's resolution, and even if you're not, this episode will be helpful in terms of determining when you may want to take something like this on and how to set yourself up for success when you do. As of the release of this episode, it is December 18th, and so as you can imagine, for the vast majority of folks, a week before Christmas probably isn't going to be the best time to kick off your fat loss efforts, unless perhaps you don't celebrate Christmas or you're just so ready to change that you can't possibly wait another week or so. Truth be told, in 2021, I did a little mini fat loss phase right through the holidays because I was traveling solo at the time, I was away from my fam, and I just felt like it. And so I didn't tell myself that I had to eat a certain way simply because it was Christmas time, but situations like this are very rare and tend to be exceptions to the general rule. Okay, let's quickly cover a few other examples of times when you might want to think twice about starting a lifestyle change. If you just started a new job with a super steep learning curve, maybe you had a kid 3 days ago. You're in the process of moving to a new city. Heaven forbid a close family member just fell ill and you feel like you're at your absolute max emotional capacity-wise. Essentially, any situation where you feel as though your plate is so full that taking anything else on is just going to push you over the edge. However, there are exceptions even in situations like I just mentioned. For example, if you're starting a new job with a super steep learning curve and you want to crush it and maximize your ability to learn as fast as possible, cleaning up your diet is actually going to support you with that via improved cognitive function, memory retention, lowered inflammation, etc. If you had a kiddo 3 days ago, maybe you've been neglecting your health, and as soon as you saw your child, you said to yourself, I love this little human so much that I want to be around for as long as possible, and therefore I am going to do whatever it takes to get my health on track today. I am not waiting. Maybe you're moving to a new city and you're just like, you know what? I'm turning over a new leaf completely, and I'm going to be the healthiest version of myself from day one. And everyone I meet here is going to see me as the super fit version of myself. Perhaps a family member just fell ill from a lifestyle-related disease, and it was a huge wake-up call for you. You can roll with that. Like I mentioned, it's important to set ourselves up for success. However, if for whatever reason you are quote-unquote pushed or pulled to action, there is no right or wrong time per se. Also, there is never a quote-unquote perfect time. That does not exist because life moves on and there are always going to be birthdays, trips, holidays, long weekends, and the list goes on. Okay, so we addressed a few unique and specific situations. Now let's get to the hands down most important aspect in terms of choosing to make a lifestyle change. If you're looking for a free way to support the pod because you found this information useful, please do review it on your favorite podcast platform. The most important thing to get clear on prior to starting a lifestyle change is deciphering whether you are interested or committed. Because if you are simply interested in losing fat, you will only take action when it is convenient. However, if you're truly committed to losing fat, you will take action, period. End of story. I'm sure that you know folks that have been saying that they want to lose fat for months, years, or potentially even decades, and yet they look the exact same, or they might even be getting heavier each and every year. This is interest. On the other hand, I'm sure that you know folks that have said that they wanted to lose weight, and then the next time that you saw them, you're like, damn, and they looked significantly fitter and healthier. This is commitment. So the most important factor in determining when is the quote unquote correct time to lose fat for you is whether you are interested or committed. Commitment is a necessity because losing fat is hard and inconvenient. It requires mental energy, emotional energy, social adjustments, reprioritization, and our current society is set up in a way that if you just sort of wing it, the default is to be overweight. It is far more convenient. And as a result, the average person in the Western world is carrying around a whole bunch of excess body fat. Now, you may be wondering, how do I know whether I'm interested or committed? How do I decipher that difference? Great question. I want to give you specific examples. But before I do, I just want to say that there is no judgment here. Your priorities are yours and only yours, and that is perfectly okay. Okay, so in terms of interest specifically, folks who are interested let all sorts of things get between them and the outcome that they say that they want. For example, they create excuses, or in other words, they excuse their misaligned actions constantly. They provide reasons as to why they didn't do X, Y, and Z. They justify and rationalize the behaviors that go perfectly contrary to the outcome that they say that they want. They tell themselves stories about why or how they chose not to follow through. And by the way, I used all of these tactics when I was overweight and telling myself that I wanted to get in shape. The truth is, I was interested in getting fit. It sounded awesome. But when it came down to actually putting in the work, I always came up with something to skirt it. Moving on to examples of commitment. Fortunately, it is so straightforward. Folks who are committed just do what's required, even when it is inconvenient or difficult. And that might sound overly simplistic, but it's actually not, because the truth is that when humans truly want something enough, they just make it happen. And if they don't have the tools yet, they acquire those tools because they are committed to the outcome, and that's a necessary step in achieving it. For example, if someone was committed to getting in shape, but they didn't know how, they wouldn't just throw their hands up in the air and say, well, there goes that. Unfortunately, I just don't know how to do it. They would be scouring the internet for resources in order to find out. Or they would be saving up to invest in a coach, or they would be trial and erroring methods on a daily basis until they found out what worked. Now, if you're still wondering, I'm not sure whether I'm simply interested or truly committed. Fortunately, at the end of the day, the ultimate barometer is time. Why? Time reveals all, because if you are getting closer to your goal day after day, week after week, and month after month, you are by definition committed. But if you're just spinning your wheels, going nowhere fast, and have no results to show after weeks and months, well, that is interest. Because the proof is in the pudding, as they say. Actions speak much louder than words. Now, it is absolutely worth mentioning that folks who are committed aren't perfect 100% of the time. Okay, if they have a nibble of a cookie or even 5 in an off moment, that doesn't mean that their efforts are completely useless. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Be aware of not letting perfect be the enemy of good, because good gets results. and perfection is not sustainable. I do not eat perfectly healthy 24/7, but I eat really, really well 95+% of the time. My clients who you see get great results, they do not eat perfect 100% of the time either, but they eat really, really well on a consistent basis. So, when is the right time for you to lose fat and implement a sustainable lifestyle change? As soon as you are willing to commit, plain and simple, because interest is flimsy, right? It doesn't have a solid foundation behind it. And so when difficult or challenging situations arise, it doesn't hold up. But commitment, that is rock solid. You're still going to have tough moments, slip-ups, deviations, but if you have commitment in place, those moments will be small and insignificant in the big scheme of things. Because remember, we are not after perfection. We are after big picture consistency over time. Or in other words, aligned action over time. That is what produces results. If you're interested in applying for one-on-one nutritional coaching and or workout design with me, you can click the link in the description below or head on over to n1fitness.com/coaching. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at N1Fitness, on TikTok at the N1Fitness, and on YouTube at MarcusSadu/N1Fitness. Feel free to review the pod on your favorite podcast platform if you'd like to. And if you want to stay up to date on the newest episode releases, you can hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that you found this episode useful, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.